Well, joining us now from Dublin is Donnacha a professor of post-Soviet politics at Dublin City University and author of an upcoming book, The Domestic Politics of Post-Soviet Unrecognized States. Thanks very much for being with us. So what's your analysis of what's unfolded in Ukraine over the last few hours?
Well, it's really hard to believe that this is happening in 21st century Europe. I mean, Putin, it seems, is not living in the 21st century. He's fighting the last war. That was clear from his speech that he made early hours of this morning. I mean, his obsession with the past, with the Russian Empire, with the Soviet Union and its collapse, has jeopardized the futures now of so many people in Europe. And it's remarkable, the list of justifications, of course, that he's given. He's blamed NATO. He calls the Ukrainian government, which is democratically elected, a junta. He says he's on the hunt now for neo-Nazis. His speech contained all sorts of historical falsehoods. And that's why Nazism is at the heart of this. He talks about Nazism and genocide all the time because he mentioned World War II, and he said in World War II we tried to appease the aggressors who were coming on our front. He meant Hitler, and it didn't work. And we're not going to make a mistake a second time. But in fact, of course, as we know, the Soviet Union collaborated with Hitler to divide up Europe and took the areas like Poland and its neighbors at that time. And indeed, Molotov, the Soviet foreign minister at the time, said that they were happy to get rid of the bastard of Versailles, which was Poland. And now we're seeing again, in the 21st century, in Central Europe, the destruction of a state, Ukraine, which has been invaded. And Vladimir Putin is sending a message to the rest of the world. Again, it was in his speech. He said those who are tempted to intervene will face consequences the like of which you have never seen in history. This is aggression and war on a scale in Europe that we thought we had put in the past, but it's right here on our doorstep right now.
And as you hear that kind of language, I mean, I know it's difficult to ask you to get inside somebody's head, but what do you see as Putin's end game here as far as what he's trying to do in Ukraine?
He's trying to destroy Ukraine. Make no doubt about it. He doesn't recognize that there is a separate Ukrainian people. He doesn't recognize that there is Ukraine. For him, Ukraine is historical Russian territory. And the Ukrainian people are no different from Russian people. So this is an attempt to destroy a people. This is literally genocide because it doesn't recognize that there's such a people exist. How can they have a right to self-determination if they don't even exist? And again, to go back to the charges of genocide and Nazism, it's worth pointing out that the president of Ukraine is in fact Jewish. There's a 450-seat parliament in Ukraine. It doesn't have one single elected far-right representative. This is a pretext for naked imperialism, and that's what it is. This is an aggressive imperialism, and it's very much at the door of Vladimir Putin. I mean, Putin, in his speech, said that this was his decision. He is, of course, the supreme commander of the military forces. This is Putin's war.
But does it surprise you, though, that Putin has escalated things to this level, knowing that he has a reputation for making very careful, calculated decisions, whether you agree with them or not? I mean, let's just say, for the sake of argument, Russian forces get to Kiev, encircle the Ukrainian capital, and exert much more control over the country. Then what? Because there is the very real possibility that he will be confronted with a type of guerrilla war and the possibility of further Russian losses. I mean, how are the Russian people going to take that?
This is it. Now the gloves are off, and we're looking at a full-scale invasion. It will be costly for Russia. The people of Ukraine will resist. At the moment, we're hearing fierce fighting. This is unlike his previous battles in Chechnya, in Georgia, and indeed when you think of the annexation of Crimea. This is a very open-ended struggle. I myself can't see how it will end because, the level of military oppression it would take to occupy a nation of more than 40 million people is unreal and can't even be foreseen. And there will be guerrilla warfare. I mean, Russia has, of course, complete asymmetrical, authority here. They have an air force which completely eclipses that available to Ukraine. They have control of the Black Sea, but they are also fighting in a foreign land, and Ukrainians are fighting for their country. And that you cannot underestimate the leverage that will give them when it comes to fighting street by street. So I think that it is, as you say, it deviates from his previous practice in some respects. It's a far more open-ended and widespread war. This is a war on the people, as I said.
I mean, there is an argument that what Putin is trying to do here is kind of present a narrative in which Ukraine is seen as a chaotic place where democracy cannot flourish, where it's not able to determine its future, and that he's concerned that if that does happen, that would set a precedent in Russia. What do you say to that?
Well, absolutely. For him, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy for him, because, of course, as you rightly point out, I mean, his argument is that Ukraine is chaotic compared to stable Russia, but he is the one who has created this chaos. I mean, this is a man who is an arsonist, who then comes along and presents himself as a fire brigade. I mean, he has created this because it's the only type of rule that he knows. I mean, when you look at the clubs that he's tried to create, for example, in opposition to the European Union, it's the Eurasian Union, which is made up of dictatorships. When you look at his opposition to NATO, it's the Collective Security Treaty Organization, again, primarily in up of dictatorships. And in his speech again, I mean, he said so much. Sorry?
All right, Donnacha Obakon, appreciate your perspective. We're going to have to leave it there. Thanks very much for your time. You've been watching continuing coverage of the situation in Ukraine. We'll leave you with live pictures from the